Welcome back to Coffee with Joe. This is a monthly series sponsored by You Gotta Believe. You Gotta Believe is a New York-based organization that believes that family is a solution for every child in foster care. This morning joining us is Rachel Hood, who is the Director of Home Finding and Placement Services at You Gotta Believe, and her wife and journalist, Sharon Turlip. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Great.
How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No, thanks for being here. We're going into this is our marathon edition, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit and how You Gotta Believe is involved in that. But first, Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what your job? It's a big title, Director of Home Finding and Placement Services. What does that mean at You Gotta Believe?
Yeah, I'm really excited to have come into this position just a few months ago, taking over for Paul Snellgrove, who was here for so many years, a founding member of You Gotta Believe, and he left, big shoes to fill, and I hope I'm doing a good job.
Congratulations.
As Director of Home Finding and Placement Services, my job is really to recruit and train parents who want to adopt older kids from foster care and to help match them with kids. So I do everything before they're placed, and then they go over to our post-placement department where there's tons of support for them. But I really work with the families to get them ready to match with their forever kids.
Fantastic. Congratulations on your new position, and I'm sure you're going to do well. You are a You Gotta Believe family, which is not unusual for the people that work with You Gotta Believe. Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. We love to. We love our family. It's a unique family, as I think lots of YGB families are. Do you want to tell about Hassan?
Sure. Yeah. Our son Hassan, it's been, he came into our lives just before he turned 17. It would have been probably about a little more than 6 years ago now, about 6 years ago. And the YGB has been instrumental in helping us kind of have perspective. And, I really think it's more the families than the kids that need help. And so Hassan actually approached us at a You Gotta Believe event and asked if we'd consider being his parents. And we just thought we were just like so awesome. Like, how amazing are we? We were giddy. And then we told Mary Keene, who's, who's the director and has been just like kind of seminal in our journey, how proud we were. And she said, don't get a big head about it. Like, these kids will go with anyone because it's just like where they are is so terrible. And sure enough, when we came back around to Hassan for our official meeting, he didn't remember us. Like, he literally had just kind of picked people, but I think all of us would say we were whatever kind of you believe in, the universe or a higher power, like I think we were meant to come together that day. And, and that's how everything started.
And he calls us Rach Share or Share Rach. Like, we're a little bit like of a single unit for him. It's his moms, and he calls us moms.
Yeah. He calls us, he calls us, he refers to us as his moms. We don't, I think one of the key things is we don't kind of push titles or, any of that, but, Hassan is, he's our son, and he's our first child. So, to us, it just was natural from day one, and it's only kind of deepened from there.
Yeah, I understand that. I have 7. I'm working on 8, and I get called all sorts of things,
Yes.
depending on the day and how the sun is shining. You also have a little one too, right?
Yes, we do. We have not 3.5 yet. We have a recently turned 3-year-old, Murphy Joe. And so Hassan's little sister, I feel like, of the many gifts of Hassan coming into our lives, I feel like he's taught us so much about parenting, that, she's kind of benefited from that. And she, he's just a naturally nurturing, caring person. Despite everything he's been through, it's in his core. Before we had Murphy, he would look out for the neighbor kids around here. He would, if he was out in public, and I remember one of our first, he was talking to us, and we were out in public, and he saw a kid falling asleep in his mom's arms, and it looked like the kid's head was going to bump into something, and he went over there to, he's just a caretaker. And so with Murphy,
one time he got like just a little bit of money, not much for him. And he wanted to use like half of it to get her a little present, and
Wow.
it was really sweet how, even with their age difference, I mean, he's 22
and she's 3.
But it's really sweet.
Oh, sorry, go on, Joe.
No. That's a good trick, because my kids are usually all about taking the money and not sharing it. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, he's incredibly giving, and he he questions our parenting a bit. Sneakers are a very important to Hassan and a very big part of his life. We call them tennis shoes. We're from Michigan. So at one point he saw Murphy. She was, like 9 months old, and he's like, "Where are her sneakers?" And we said, "Well, she doesn't walk. She doesn't have shoes." And you could tell he just thought, like, my sister's out in the world without shoes, and so
like, can you get her some shoes? Seriously.
And but just the concern was real. The concern was real, and my parents are clueless was very real. And ever since Murphy she doesn't go around without good shoes anymore.
And he makes sure of that, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Can anybody tell me what's happening on November 7th in 2021?
I'll be doing a lot of work. As you know, it's Marathon Day in New York City, a very fun day in the city. And I know that I will be working really, 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 really hard cheering for Sharon, who's doing like a little bit of running, I guess, that day.
Just a little bit.
What about 26.2 miles? Is that what you're doing on
a jog?
Yep. And you did it earlier. You did it a couple years ago, right, Joe?
We're really not going to talk much about that. Certainly in comparison to you. I heard that this is going to be your 7th marathon, and this one almost didn't happen. So yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, it's my 7th marathon, but I will say after my 6th marathon, I swore I was never going to run another marathon. I did New York City a few years ago. That was kind of my bucket list marathon. I did one more, and I said, just like, that's it. I'll be a person who runs half marathons, 13 miles. And then the opportunity came up to run this race for You Gotta Believe, and it's just,
I was working there.
Rachel was working there.
And
yeah,
we decided, because I don't know, I'm sure you know this from like your own training, but it's really like a huge undertaking as a training process. And it really kind of takes the support of your whole family, like we're all sort of like trying to get out there and help Sharon get her training runs in and stuff. So we like sort of decided to do it like as a family. So she was raising money for You Gotta Believe.
I call it Rachel. I say I'm running for her. I call it her marathon, just to like lay out the deal. So she's been helping me with some of the fundraising and has been instrumental in helping me survive training.
I usually don't like giving money to organizations, certainly around marathons. It just doesn't make any sense to give money to somebody who's going to take the money and run. Ba-dum-bum. That's my dad joke for the day.
Dad joke.
I get to do that now. I've got so many. Full disclosure, though, when I did the marathon, I walked.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, never doing it again. I'm not. It's not going to change. I mean, it nearly killed me.
Yeah.
I did it for the same reasons I'm sure that you're doing it. Is as a fundraiser for You Gotta Believe, because it's a not-for-profit and all of the wonderful things that they do. That stuff needs to be funded. So I am glad that the tradition continues. Every year there's at least a few people from You Gotta Believe who are in the marathon. And this is the second one for You Gotta Believe.
Yeah, well, I maintain, and I'm not just saying this to be nice, I think it's harder to walk a marathon or a half marathon than to run one because you're just doing it for so long. Rachel walked a half marathon and it's nothing to scoff at.
Well, I really appreciate those words of encouragement. It doesn't make me feel better, but it was one of the most challenging things that I've ever done, and I'm really, really thrilled that I was able to complete it. In particular, because it was for You Gotta Believe. Part of my motivation was to, I'm always preaching to my kids that hard work and perseverance is important, and so I had to put my money where my mouth was, and whew. Are you prepared? Do you think you're ready for the marathon this year?
He's ready.
I feel like I can finish. I think we've had, it's just I haven't really run. I mean, the last marathon I did, Murphy was very little, and so I haven't been able to train as much. Just to really train to where I would feel like, oh, I'll run and I'll be fast and it won't be painful. I haven't been able to get that kind of running in. I feel like I will finish it, and I will probably finish it running. And it probably won't be excruciating. So I think kind of early.
Well, you'll probably finish a whole lot sooner than I did.
Yes.
I was there at nighttime with the truck following us, making sure that no bodies were scattered along the roads.
Amazing.
Man, that's so
takes perseverance.
Yeah, that takes some serious perseverance. My slowest marathons have also been my hardest ones, because it takes so long, and it makes all the difference to run for something that's meaningful. And in addition to everything You Gotta Believe did for us, and this is part of what I said in my fundraising pitch with Rachel working there, and I kind of knew this just because I know so many people at the organization. Like, this is a nonprofit that puts its money toward, really maximizes it toward helping people in profound ways. Rachel's getting emails all hours of the night. A lot of calls she's on with families start after Murphy's gone to bed, and the whole team is there. So I feel like I can say, this is money that's going to something directly that, can make, in some cases, life or death differences for kids.
That's fantastic. I think we're going to share your link and the link to You Gotta Believe. So anybody who is listening and watching who wants to support You Gotta Believe in their marathon efforts will have the opportunity to do that. I really want to thank you for taking your time out of your day and being here. But before you go, there's a question of the day. So today's question of the day comes from Miguel, and Miguel is actually in Puerto Rico. And his question is, what do you do for a child who has a birthday on a holiday like Christmas?
has a birthday on a holiday.
On a holiday.
That's hard. You want to make them feel special still somehow, right?
Yeah.
What would we do?
What would we do for a child who has a birthday on a holiday? You know, the thing that comes to mind is I think that you know, a lot of people who have birthdays on holidays, they end up having to celebrate their birthday later. I would like kind of scrap the holiday, have the birthday, and then say, you know, if it's Thanksgiving can be next week, you know, and kind of move it. If you're able to do that with the family, because I think people with like birthday holiday combos, their birthday always gets moved.
Yeah, but why not move the holiday?
Why not move the holiday?
Yeah,
We're flexible.
You're flexible. That's great. In my household, it's been holidays are really interesting for my family in that these are events that we really hadn't celebrated before, myself included. So holidays really become sort of like gift giving. And I'm glad that I don't have any kids who have birthdays on a holiday, because the expectations of getting, and the images of television and all of that, it's like more and more and more. And I think that there would be a feeling of loss. I actually, as they got older, started decreasing gift giving on Christmas in particular. And we used to, when we were all together, have an experience. So we'd go to a hospital or a food kitchen, and we would, I'd sort of warm them up to the fact that there are people out there that are not so lucky as we are. So in any case, I think that's a good enough answer. How do you make somebody feel special? And that's a big issue for all of our kids. So I think moving it and celebrating twice is probably a good idea.
Yeah, and I think for us the big thing was to kind of let go of our own expectations and understand that, for Hassan, holidays are hard. And so kind of letting him have his space was really important to our family.
Well, ladies, I thank you again for the time that you've spent with us today. Sharon, I wish you luck in the marathon. I'm not in New York any longer, so I won't be out on the streets. Although that was really one of the fun parts, seeing all the different neighborhoods in New York City. But I'll certainly support you and encourage everybody to support you through your fundraising link for You Gotta Believe.
Thanks you. Again. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
Whoops.